Hey everybody, it's John DeYoung, and today we're going to talk about glucose, also called blood sugar. Now, this is your body's favorite source of energy. When you make a bicep, when you open a jar, your muscles are burning glucose. Even the cells in your brain are burning glucose right now to understand exactly what we're talking about here. Now, every single part of your body is burning glucose every nanosecond to keep you alive. So as human beings, the way we provide this important glucose to our body is by eating foods, specifically by two categories of foods: starches, which is bread, pasta, rice, potatoes, oats, and then sugars. That's primarily pretty much anything that tastes sweet, like apples and chocolate cake, my favorite, and grapes. So you ask me, if glucose is my body's energy, why not give it as much as I can? Because in this case, too much of a good thing can harm you and even shorten your health and lifespan. So to better understand this, let's talk about something called glycation. Now, glycation is a natural process where from the moment we are born, we literally begin to cook from the inside out. Like cooking a chicken. Chicken goes from pink to brown when you cook it. Cartilage from babies is white when they're born. When you look at cartilage of a 90-year-old person is brown. That's glycation. So how do you slow or lessen the glycation process so you can age at a slower rate? The answer is avoid daily glucose spikes. Every time you have a glucose spike, it accelerates glycation. The more glucose spikes you have, the faster you age. These spikes also age your organs from within, your skin, causes inflammation, fatigue, cravings for sugar, not sleeping well, hormonal issues, and more importantly, gets you that much closer to type 2 diabetes. Since glucose is your body's energy, it would obviously be a bad idea to not have any glucose at all. So it's really important to know where your glucose is coming from in your diet. I just had a client tell me that they had no idea that oatmeal was full of starch. Now, oats are a grain, and like all grains, are full of starch. And starch is essentially just a long chain of glucose molecules attached together. And when we digest starch, they break down into individual glucose molecules. Then they make their way into our bloodstream and create a glucose spike. Things like honey, agave, maple syrup, all the same thing. All these sugars are the same and also will create a glucose spike no matter what some nutritionists may tell you. As will fruit also, especially fruit juice. Just to tell you, it's so much better to eat the whole fruit instead of juicing it. It will definitely lessen the glucose spike. And I like to eat berries instead of fruit. They're a lot lower in sugar and create a lower spike as well. Now, eating your food in the right order can also reduce the glucose spike of your meal, up to 75%. So if you eat it intelligently, you're going to start off with vegetables. If you have veggies on the plate, protein, and your dessert or your starch, start off with the veggies. Have a few mouthfuls, chew it, then start into the proteins and fats. And then as you're getting halfway through the meal, if you can, then you can just try to start to introduce your carbs, your starch, a little bit later in the meal. It's really important, okay? Especially for breakfast. You don't want to start the day with your oatmeal and have a huge glucose spike. Now that's going to set your glucose levels on a roller coaster ride for the rest of the day, because after a glucose spike, there's always a glucose dip. Now that triggers a craving for sugar and carbs. So an also nice hack would be to have a tablespoon of vinegar in a glass of water before your meal. It's going to definitely slow down how quickly food in your bloodstream breaks down into glucose molecules. Okay, you could use lemon juice, but the amount of lemon juice you would need would be that of 3 lemons to equal the powerful effect of a tablespoon of vinegar. Okay, and lastly, exercise and adding lean muscle is very important to regulate glucose levels. Now, muscles are where we dispose of glucose. The difference between me and someone with type 2 diabetes, so bad that they're going to have their digits amputated, is literally an extra teaspoon of glucose in the bloodstream. That's how critical it is to regulate our blood sugar, okay? And one of the most important parts of blood sugar regulation would be to have muscles big enough to put glucose into. You don't have to be a huge bodybuilder. And also muscles that are insulin sensitive enough to respond to the insulin signal, okay? So resistance training, again, is really important, okay? You should Google your food and see where your favorite foods fall on a glycemic index. Try to stay in the low to medium range. Okay, and if you're going to have a starch or sugar with your meal, have it midway or mostly towards the end of the meal. Okay, super important. All right, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, put them in the comments, and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks, guys, and take care.